Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Pokemon Emerald. In the last episode, we had gone through Mount Pyre, the upper levels of Mount Pyre, and we explored that. And then we also found not a new party member in Nom Nom, but a Gulpin. And this is going to be something that is going to be very helpful for us for this episode. We're gonna lead with Nom Nom. So as you might know if you are an avid Pokemon player, there is something very special about this route here. We are currently in Route 119, and that is the only location in Hoenn where you can find a particular Pokemon, wherever it is. Let's see, where is it? Where is he? Where's the boy? The boy is somewhere. It is the only place where you are able to find Feebas. So we are here in Route 119. It can be found in the river sections of Route 119. However, Feebas is notoriously difficult to find because of every single tile it can spawn in. It only spawns in 6 out of, I think, the 400 water tiles there are in this route. And the only way you can find it is by fishing it up. So, and there's no way, to my understanding, to increase your odds of finding it. The only way you can find it is to just brute force it and find the tile that it spawns in, and it changes from time to time. So, that's what we're going to be doing today in this episode. We're going to be going through this entire river section trying to find a Feebas, and the worst part is, a Feebas only has about a 50% chance to spawn after fishing, which means that you might actually pass it over if you only fish on each tile once. So that's what we're going to be doing. Unfortunately, we actually are not able to reach the entire water section because we need to have Waterfall to reach the upper section here, which we do not have. That's an HM move. So we only have this bottom section here, so I'm hoping at least one of the tiles spawn. And we're going to be giving it a try. Now, the reason I wanted Nom Nom is because of his ability, Sticky Hold. Sticky Hold, basically, normally in battle, it just makes it so that way it only, you don't lose your items. Like, your items can't be stolen or lost by any means, other than just, like, consumption. But it also has an but a field effect, too, that increases your chances of finding wild Pokemon by fishing. It increases your odds. So, too, is the ability Suction Cups, which I think is only found on, we're gonna register the old rod. Is only found on, I think, Octillery in this generation or something. But basically, it makes it so it guarantees a hook, so this is going to be very helpful for this challenge, this search, because now we're less likely to fail, so therefore we are going to be able to more readily pull up Pokemon. So that way it saves us a little bit of time. So I think it basically increases, like, the chance of catching a Pokemon from, like, I don't know. I think the actual thing with Suction Cups or Sticky Hold is that it becomes, like, I think something like 90% or something at least, so, yeah. Unfortunately, this is the only thing we're going to be doing for this episode, so there's really not a whole lot for us to do other than to just chat, I guess. So I'm going to be pulling on each tile twice just to make sure, because the odds of me missing a Feebas twice in a row is like, I don't know, 25%. So, I don't know, maybe I'll be doing 3 times, because that might be better. But yeah, so the only thing we really can do right now is to just chat. So yeah, how about the Nintendo Switch 2? How's everyone feeling about that? Good? Bad? Not good? I don't know, I'm personally not sure if I'm going to I'm probably not going to get it right away because it is pretty expensive. It's $450 US dollars, which can be pretty expensive. And frankly, like, with consoles, like, I don't know. The only console that I would buy would be, like, a Nintendo console, just because, like, you know, most console games are available on PC, and I have a gaming PC that I bought, like, 2 years ago. It's a little over 2 years ago at this point, so it's still up to date for the most part. So I really don't have to worry about, like, my... I can play games on my PC just fine. So, like, I don't really see the need for, like, consoles like Xbox and PlayStation, because, like, a lot of the games are, like, not console exclusive. You can play on, like, you can get, like, on Steam or something. So, like, the only console I'd really be interested in getting would be Nintendo consoles, because they usually have a lot more exclusive games. But even then, like, I'm not sure I'd get a Switch 2 until I knew there were games that I wanted that I could only get on Switch 2. Right now, the only game that I'm particularly interested in is the Bravely Default 2 the Bravely Default remake. But even then, I'm not sure if I'll get a Switch just for that. I do know with Square Enix, they do have a lot of other games that are, like, they're available on other platforms. Like, Bravely Default 2, that's available on other platforms. Final Fantasy XVI was a PS5 exclusive, but it was ported to PC after, like, a year or so. So, like, that isn't really, like, a console exclusive. You know, Octopath Traveler, that launched as a Switch exclusive, but then that later got a PC port, and then the same thing with Octopath Traveler 2. That was also a multi-platform game, so I'm not really concerned that... I feel Bravely Default, the remake, would get ported eventually. It might take like a year or so, but I feel like they would eventually do it. So because of that, I'm not sure I'd get a Switch right away. And I'm not really sure if there's any other games that I'm particularly interested in. Like, I don't know. I'm not super interested in Mario Kart World. Like, I mean, I didn't really watch the trailer, but I think it's only like the teaser right now, right? So there's really not a whole lot going along with that. We failed it with suction cups. It's so sad. But yeah, like Mario Kart World, like, I don't feel like there's really a whole lot going on there for me. I will say I was actually very disappointed. I did own Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U, and then I did buy Deluxe when it was ported to Switch. But I was actually really disappointed with that. Just because, like, when you start up Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, like, all of the characters are unlocked. Like, there's like, no progression for that, which I find, like, incredibly disappointing, because, like, that's one of the fun parts of, like, games for me, is, like, unlocking new content. So, like, when all of the characters were, like, unlocked, it just kind of felt like, okay, well, what was the point? What's the point, you know? Like, if I could just play everything from the start, like, I don't know, like, I feel like that does take a lot away from the game. Especially because, like, the carts weren't unlocked. So, like, or the carts still had to be unlocked, so it just felt really weird, like, why would you do that? You know? So, like, I don't know. It is just weird. I'm hoping that I'm, like, paying attention to this properly. I might end up just cutting, because I think I've said everything that's on my mind right at this moment, so maybe once I start thinking of other things to ramble about, I'll come back. Or if we find a Feebas, fingers crossed. So yeah. Here's a Wingle. We never caught one of these. Alright. Caught a Wingle. Name you Phyllis. I think that was the name of one of the pelican people in Animal Crossing. I think that's the mean one. Oh my god! Oh my god, we found a tile! We found a tile! Okay, so this is Feebas. We are able to run from them. We don't have to catch this one, per se. What I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna switch to Lola. Now that we have found the Feebas tile, it's actually pretty good. I mean, I was doing it for 2 hours, I took a break, and I started again. I'm only 8 minutes into the session, so that's actually pretty great. So I'm going to do something. Now that we've found the Feebas tile, we are able to do whatever. We're able to just keep fishing, and they'll keep spawning on that tile. So the reason I want to have Lola in the lead is, if I'm not mistaken, yes. So the reason why we want Lola out in the front is because she has the ability Synchronize, which I'm not mistaken, that increases the chances of finding Pokemon of a similar nature out in the wild. So by leading with her, we'll find more Pokemon with modest natures. And this is kind of a ridiculous thing for me to be doing in a casual playthrough. Trust me, it'll work, because a modest nature is actually very good on Gardevoir because it boosts her special attack, lowers her attack, and for Feebas and its evolution, that is exactly the best, probably the best nature we could get for it. So I figured, we can make it happen, let's make it work. So the one scary thing about the Feebas thing, or the one frustrating thing, is that Feebas only have about a 50% rate of spawning on each tile, which means you actually have a good chance of passing over it if you're not fishing at least 2 or 3 times on every tile. So, you know. Like, right now, and even then, like, we only got it 1 out of 3 times. Like, we could have very easily passed over another one. And this is the first one we got lucky on. But now that we found it, we're good. Feebas tiles, to my understanding, they change regularly, but they only change whenever the trend changes in Dewford. So if it's the same trend, wow. Wow, that's really unlucky. 3 in a row. Good thing that we got lucky on that first pull. But yeah. The trend changes in Dewford. And every time the trend changes in Dewford, the tiles randomize. I'm actually gonna kick myself for not catching that Feebas while we had the chance. Holy Feebases are supposed to have a 50% appearance rate. We're only at 1 out of 4. Okay, wow, that's really bad. And now they're not biting. That's annoying. Oh my god, are you for real? Game said, I gave you a chance and you spat in my face, so therefore you're not getting it now. Okay, there we go. Unfortunately, this one is a male. We don't want that. I want a female Feebas. But I'm actually gonna catch, like, a few of them. I'm gonna try and catch, like, maybe 3 of them, just to make sure I have one with a modest nature. Because they're also incredibly difficult to find, so... You know, I'm just gonna catch a few just so that way I have backups. God forbid. Oh my god. They keep coming up as male. Jesus Christ, dude. Seriously. The odds of catching a female Feebas is literally 1 in 4 every time I pull up a rod. Seriously, dude. I hate the odds of this. Okay, wow, weird. This is annoying. This is incredibly annoying. I can catch female Magikarp just fine. Oh my god, why are they all male? Why are they all male? Seriously. There we go. Good lord, that took way longer than it should have. I'll send out Doug. Hopefully Doug can weaken it a little bit. Ooh, no tackle. We can do Rock Smash. Wow, that did a lot more damage than I anticipated. I know Feebas is a very weak Pokemon, but wow. Ooh. Alright. We'll catch it in a Premier Ball. Feebas does have a very high catch rate, so this should pretty much be a guaranteed catch. Alright, awesome. So we got Feebas. The fish Pokemon. Feebas live in ponds that are heavily infested with weeds. Because of its hopelessly shabby appearance, it seems as if few trainers raise it. So yes, we'll nickname it. I feel like whenever I have a... I'm gonna save that, that's a spoiler. Whenever I have a Feebas, I nickname it Lorraine. So as long as we make a mental note of this tile, it is the one below the first rock on the far end, we can actually just fly over to Fortree to see if Lorraine has a modest nature. But you know, honestly, I'm like, hey, do we really need a modest nature? I'm like, eh. Probably shouldn't worry too much about it, but, you know, I'll double check. Naughty is not good. Arguably, it is quite honestly probably one of the worst natures that we could have gotten. There we go. God damn it, Doug! There we go. Don't! Okay, I got 3 Feebases. We have Lorraine, who I also nicknamed Lorraine because I felt like it. We have Lorraine, the Feebas. She's got a quiet nature, boosts her special attack, reduces her speed. I got tired, quiet, I'm like, that's good enough. Mid-speed in this evolution line, so, I'll take it. I just didn't want it because we pulled one that boosts attack and lowers special defense, and then one that boosts defense and lowers special attack, which are like probably the 2 worst natures that we could have gotten. Even though we had Lola in the lead, which would have forced it 50% of the time, we lost that 50%. So, we lost so many 50%, it's ridiculous. But this is what we're gonna go with. Feebas was a very important Pokemon because Feebas is the last Pokemon that I wanted to have as a permanent party member. So we will be dealing with it. Like we will be taking Lorraine. We'll be taking Lorraine all the way. But I think for right now we should be okay, and then we can actually retire Doug for right now, believe it or not. We want to bring back Polari. Now I don't know if we're gonna need any HM moves in the near future, but if we do need them, we can give Rock Smash to Chicky, and I think Cut can be learned by Tropy or something. So I think we'll be fine. I know Delilah can learn Strength, so I think we'll be okay, and Lorraine should be able to learn Surf, I think. Where's that? Also, at some point, I went to the Doofertown Trend House because that gives you information on if the things change, and some guy gave me Sludge Bomb. I don't remember if we spoke to him before, but he gave it to me there, so yeah, Sludge Bomb, that's a 90 power base move, so that's actually a really strong move. I don't know if we necessarily have anyone that can learn that right now, but yeah, no, we don't have anyone that can learn it, but it's there in case you want it for whatever reason. Can Lorraine learn Surf right now? Yes. So we'll teach her Surf right away because she can learn that. But anyway, this took me probably a little over 2 hours to actually do to get Lorraine to where she is now. So that's going to be it for this episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this content, leave a like, maybe consider subscribing, or leave a comment, or whatever feels good for you. And with that, I will see you guys in the next episode. See you guys then.